Ladies and gentlemen, let me start with a simple question. Why is it that some countries with all the wealth there, all the power, all the technology in the world still struggle to solve problems that an ordinary nation with fewer resources has managed to overcome? This is not just about economics or politics. It is about mindset. Today, I want to talk about something remarkable. India achieved what even the superpowers of the world could not. Let me ask you a question. If success was only about money, why do so many rich countries still struggle to solve problems that others manage with fewer resources? If achievement was only about having the biggest budgets or the most advanced tools, then history would look very different. The truth is, strength is not about resources, it is about resilience and innovation. This is what separates those who wait for opportunities from those who create them. When you don't have endless resources, you are forced to think smarter, move faster, and act with greater creativity. That is the secret advantage that many people and nations overlook. India has shown us this lesson on a global stage. The story of India's Mars mission is a perfect example. While superpowers spent billions of dollars, India achieved the same goal with just a fraction of the cost. The world couldn't believe it. How could a developing nation succeed where giants had failed or struggled? The answer is simple: resilience and innovation. They didn't rely on having the most money. They relied on their determination to find new ways, efficient ways, and cost-effective ways. They treated every obstacle as a chance to innovate, not as an excuse to give up. And when the rocket reached Mars, it wasn't just a victory for India. It was a wake-up call to the world that success is not owned by the wealthy. It is earned by the resilient. Think about your own life. How often do we say, if only I had more money, more connections, more support, then I would succeed? But what if I told you that having less can actually be your biggest strength? When you don't have unlimited options, you become sharper. You stop wasting time and energy. You focus on what truly matters. You learn to do more with less. And that is where innovation is born. Look at every great entrepreneur, every great leader. They all started with limited resources, but they had an unlimited vision. It is vision, not wealth, that creates breakthroughs. One of the biggest traps people fall into is believing that they need the perfect environment to succeed. They wait for the day when all conditions align before they take a step forward. But the world doesn't reward waiting. The world rewards those who act, those who adapt, and those who keep moving no matter how little they have. Resilience is the ability to get up when you fall, to keep going when others give up, to see solutions where others only see problems. And innovation is the ability to find a new path when the old one is blocked. Together, they are stronger than any amount of money. Look around you. Technology, medicine, education, all the greatest transformations of our time came not because someone had endless resources, but because someone had the courage to think differently. Superpowers can buy comfort, but resilience and innovation cannot be bought. They must be developed, earned, and lived. That is why people from humble beginnings often create the biggest impact. They understand struggle, and they use it as fuel. They understand failure, and they turn it into wisdom. They don't wait for superpower conditions. They make progress with whatever they have. What is stopping you today? Do you believe you need more money, more support, or more recognition before you can begin? Or can you see that the greatest strength you already have is your resilience and your ability to innovate? If a nation can put a satellite on Mars with limited resources, what excuse do you have for not chasing your dream? Success is not about the size of your pocket. It is about the size of your spirit. And once you realize this truth, you will discover that your lack of resources is not your weakness. It is your greatest opportunity. Have you ever noticed that some of the greatest innovations in history were born not in times of abundance, but in times of scarcity? When you have little, you are forced to stretch your imagination, to squeeze value out of every opportunity, and to make every step count. This is why I say, do more with less. It is not a weakness to have limited resources. It is a hidden strength. Abundance often breeds waste, but scarcity breeds creativity. When your back is against the wall, that is when your mind works harder, faster, and sharper. Look at how India has approached its challenges. Unlike superpowers with deep pockets, India did not have the luxury to spend without thinking. But that very limitation became its competitive advantage. By necessity, India had to find ways to achieve more with smaller budgets, tighter timelines, and simpler tools. There. When other countries poured billions into space projects, India accomplished the same feat at a fraction of the cost. That was not just cost cutting, it was smart thinking. It was the art of maximizing potential. The success of such missions sent a powerful message to the world. Greatness is not about how much you spend, but about how intelligently you spend it. Now think about your own journey. How many times have you told yourself, if only I had more money, more time, or more help, then I could achieve something extraordinary? But the truth is, you already have what you need to begin. Doing more with less is not about waiting for perfect conditions. It is about finding excellence in imperfection. When you limit yourself to only what is essential, you cut away distractions. You stop chasing what doesn't matter and focus only on what brings results. This is why people who start with little often grow stronger than those who start with everything handed to them. They are trained by necessity to survive, to adapt, and to grow. There's a famous saying, necessity is the mother of invention. It is not when life is comfortable that you find your best ideas. It is when life forces you to push beyond your limits. Some of the best entrepreneurs in the world began with almost nothing, but that very limitation gave them a hunger that wealth could never provide. Scarcity forces you to be disciplined. It forces you to look for opportunities where others only see obstacles. And when you develop this habit, even when abundance eventually comes, you will not waste it. You will multiply it. India's digital revolution is another example. With millions of people who had never touched a computer or owned a bank account, the challenge seemed impossible. But instead of giving up, India built solutions that were simple, affordable, and accessible. Low-cost internet and digital payments changed the lives of ordinary citizens. While superpowers debated complex models, India acted with practicality. And because of that, it achieved more impact with less spending than many of the richest nations. This is the proof that doing more with less is not only possible, it is powerful. So ask yourself, are you limited or are you being trained? Every limitation in your life can be an invitation to grow stronger, smarter, and more resourceful. Do not despise small beginnings. Do not underestimate the power of scarcity. When you learn to do more with less, you discover a strength that no one can take away from you. Superpowers may have more resources, but if you can master this principle, you will have an edge that money alone can never buy. And just like India showed the world, you too can rise above your circumstances. Not by waiting for more, but by doing more with what you already have. Who do you really build for when you create a business, a product, or even a vision? Do you build only for the privileged few, or do you think about the millions whose voices are rarely heard? Real power, real impact does not come from serving only the elite. It comes from lifting the masses. When you create something that touches ordinary people, you create a wave that no superpower can stop. This is the secret that many advanced nations miss. But India has embraced it with boldness. Take the digital revolution in India as an example. Many countries with strong economies have advanced technologies, but they are often built for those who already have access. Expensive systems, complex infrastructures, and solutions that reach only a slice of society. But India asked a different question. How do we include everyone? Even the poorest in the story of progress. With low-cost internet and digital payments, millions who had never entered a bank or used a computer suddenly became part of the digital economy. Shopkeepers, farmers, street vendors all gained tools that connected them to the world. This was not just technology, it was empowerment. Why does this matter? Because when you build only for the few, your growth will always be limited. But when you build for the masses, your potential becomes limitless. Think about it. A small business that only caters to the rich may thrive for a while, but it will never have the same impact as one that solves problems for millions. Alibaba, my own journey, was built on this belief. We didn't just want to help big corporations. We wanted to help small businesses. The little shops that nobody paid attention to. And because of that, we created a platform that scaled far beyond anyone's imagination. The same principle applies everywhere. If you want to change the world, don't look up, look around. India's strength lies in understanding its people. It did not wait until everyone was wealthy to create solutions. Instead, it designed solutions that worked for the common person right now. That is where superpowers often stumble. They design for the future elite, not for the present majority. And when you ignore the majority, you lose the foundation of real growth. The world does not move forward because of the privilege of a few. It moves forward because of the collective rise of many. This is not only a national principle, it is a personal one. Ask yourself, in your work, in your vision, who are you serving? If your dream only benefits you, it will remain small. If your dream benefits only a select group, it will be fragile. But if your dream touches the lives of many, if it makes life better for ordinary people, then you have tapped into a force that will multiply far beyond your control. The masses carry the true energy of change. History proves this again and again. Movements that transform the world are never built on the power of the few. They are powered by millions of ordinary individuals who suddenly found themselves with opportunity, dignity, and hope. When you design for inclusion, you are building not just a product or a company, you are building a legacy. Stop thinking small, stop thinking narrow. Don't ask, how do I build for those who already have? Ask instead, how do I build for those who need it most? Because when you give power to the masses, when you solve their problems, they will carry you to heights that no amount of wealth can buy. India proved this truth. And anyone with courage can do the same. If you want unstoppable growth, build not for the few, but for the many. Let me start by asking you a question. What drives the world forward? Money or dreams? Many people believe that without money, you cannot begin. They think money is the fuel. Money is the foundation. Money is everything. But history shows us a different truth. It is not money that moves mountains. It is dreams. Money follows vision, not the other way around. When you dream big enough, when your vision is strong enough, money becomes a tool, not a barrier. That is why I always say dreams are bigger than money. Look at India's Mars mission once again. Superpowers invested billions, building advanced systems with enormous budgets, and yet the world was stunned when India succeeded at a fraction of the cost. How did they do it? It wasn't money that carried that rocket into space. It was belief, imagination, and a dream bigger than their budget. Engineers, scientists, and leaders shared one vision. They're to prove that they could achieve what others thought was impossible. The dream came first, the money was secondary. And because the dream was strong enough, they made the impossible possible. This is the same principle that applies to you and me. How often do people say, I will start my business when I have enough money. I will chase my dream when I am financially secure. I will follow my passion when the conditions are perfect. But let me tell you, if you wait for the perfect time, you will wait forever. Money does not create dreams. Dreams create money. The greatest companies in the world were born not out of wealth, but out of vision. They began in garages, dorm rooms, and tiny offices with no guarantee of success, but with a fire of belief that was unstoppable. The danger of focusing only on money is that it limits your imagination. If you believe success is only about resources, then your vision will never grow beyond your wallet. But when you focus on dreams, your mind opens. You begin to see possibilities instead of problems. You start to innovate instead of complain. Dreams give you the courage to take risks, to step into uncertainty, and to find paths where none seem to exist. Money may open doors, but dreams build entire worlds. Money is finite, but dreams are infinite. Money can be lost, but dreams, if strong enough, cannot be destroyed. When you are driven by money alone, your energy fades when the money fades. But when you are driven by dreams, your energy multiplies even when resources are scarce. That is why the dreamers of the world outlast the wealthy who lack vision. It is why nations and individuals who dare to dream can surpass those with endless budgets, but no imagination. India showed the world this truth in action. With limited funds, they dared to attempt what others laughed at. And when they succeeded, the laughter turned into admiration. That is the power of a dream. It silences doubt, it breaks limits, and it inspires the world. Now, take a moment and ask yourself, what is your dream? Is it bigger than your fear of not having enough? Is it strong enough to move you forward when resources are scarce? If not, you are thinking too small. Dreams are not fantasies. They are blueprints for the future. Money will always come and go, but the vision you carry will shape the path ahead. So never let the size of your pocket determine the size of your dream. Let your dream be so big, so powerful, that money has no choice but to chase it. Because in the end, the greatest truth remains, dreams are always bigger than money. When you look at the world today, it often feels like everything is a race. Nations compete with nations. Companies compete with companies. And even individuals compete with each other. Everyone wants to be number one. Everyone wants to dominate. And in the process, people forget the most important truth. Contribution is greater than competition. Competition can make you faster, but contribution makes you meaningful. Competition ends with winners and losers, but contribution creates impact that lasts far beyond the game. India's story is proof of this principle. For decades, many thought that only superpowers could lead in technology, space exploration, or digital transformation. Yet India chose a different path. It did not simply aim to compete on equal terms. It aimed to contribute uniquely. When India built its space programs at lower costs, it wasn't just competing for prestige, it was contributing a model to the world, showing that science and exploration do not need to belong only to the wealthy. When India rolled out digital payments and affordable internet, it wasn't about beating anyone in numbers. It was about lifting millions of ordinary people out of exclusion and giving them dignity through access. That is contribution, and that is far more powerful than winning a race. Think about it in your own life. If you spend all your energy trying to be better than the person next to you, your vision will always be small. You will always measure yourself by someone else's standards. But when you focus on contribution, on how you can add value to others, on how you can make life better for people around you, you will not just stand out, you will stand tall. Competition ends at the finish line, contribution leaves a legacy. That is why the greatest leaders in history are remembered not for how much they won, but for how much they gave. Many companies collapse because they get trapped in endless competition. They copy what others are doing. They fight over market share, and they forget why they exist in the first place. But the businesses that last are those that focus on solving real problems. They ask, what can I give? How can I serve? How can I contribute to society? This is the reason why Alibaba grew. I didn't start it to compete with American companies or Chinese giants. I started it to help small businesses in China sell and survive. Contribution was the heart of the vision, and growth became the natural outcome. The same principle applies to nations. Those who only chase dominance eventually lose influence, but those who contribute to humanity gain respect forever. Competition can push you to improve, but it can also blind you. Contribution, however, expands your vision. It forces you to think beyond yourself, beyond your company, beyond your borders. It forces you to look at the bigger picture. How can what I do make the world a little better? India embraced this bigger picture. By focusing on contribution, it created solutions that not only transformed its own society, but also inspired other nations. The ripple effect of contribution travels farther than any victory on a scoreboard. Are you competing? Are you contributing? Are you exhausting yourself trying to beat others? Or are you channeling your energy into giving something meaningful? The irony is this: when you focus on contribution, you often end up winning anyway. People trust you more, follow you more, and support you more because they know you are not just in it for yourself. Contribution attracts loyalty in a way competition never can. India has shown us that the true measure of greatness is not how loudly you declare victory, but how deeply you impact lives. That is the lesson for all of us. In your business, in your career, in your dreams, don't just compete, contribute. Because when competition ends, contribution continues. And in the end, it is contribution that defines your true worth. Let me ask you this: who truly owns the future? The ones who play it safe, or the ones who dare to step into the unknown? History makes the answer clear. Every breakthrough, every revolution, every achievement that changed the world began with someone who dared to believe in something others thought impossible. The future belongs not to the strongest or the richest, but to the boldest. The ones who refuse to be limited by fear, doubt, or circumstance. India has given us a powerful example of this truth. For many years, people doubted whether a developing country could achieve what superpowers struggled with. Yet when India dared to launch its Mars mission, it was not just a scientific project. It was a declaration of courage. While others counted risks, India counted possibilities. While others said, "It cannot be done," India said, "Why not us?" That single act of daring changed perceptions across the world. The success was not only in reaching Mars, it was in showing that courage can outperform caution, that boldness can outshine resources. This is the same lesson that applies to every individual. Too often, people hesitate to act because they are afraid of failure. They wait until the conditions are perfect, until the risks are gone, until success seems certain. But if you wait for that day, it will never come. Progress comes to those who dare to start before they are ready. The daring ones understand that failure is not the end. It is part of the journey. Every step into uncertainty sharpens resilience. Every attempt brings new wisdom, and every setback carries the seed of a greater comeback. Think about the entrepreneurs who built companies that changed the world. They were not the ones with all the answers. They were the ones willing to take the leap. They dared to imagine a different future, and they dared to act on it even when nobody else believed. That is why they succeeded where others only talked. Daring is not recklessness. It is courage guided by vision. It is the decision to move forward when everyone else chooses to stand still. India's digital revolution is another testimony to this. Instead of waiting for everyone to be wealthy, instead of hesitating because the challenges seemed too great, India to bring technology to the masses. It dared to believe that millions of ordinary people could be included in the future. And because of that daring, today millions are connected, empowered, and able to participate in a new economy. What once seemed unthinkable is now normal. That is what happens when you dare. You normalize the impossible. So let me challenge you today, what dream have you been hiding because you are afraid to fail? What idea have you been postponing because you are waiting for perfect conditions? The truth is, the future will not wait for you. The future rewards those who dare to act now. If India could dare to do what superpowers doubted, then you too can dare to do what others think is impossible. Fear whispers, "What if you fail?" But daring replies, "What if I succeed?" Every person who ever achieved greatness chose daring over doubt. And every person who hesitates is left watching others shape the world. The question is simple. Will you let fear hold the pen? Or will you dare to write your own future? Because the truth is clear. The future belongs to those who dare.